Before we begin, I want you to do something for me. Close your eyes, put on your headphones, and let the darkness wrap around you. What you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a nightmare waiting to crawl under your skin, a shadow that lingers long after the final word is spoken. So, are you ready? Good. Let's begin. The Shadow That Walks. The taxi stopped at the edge of the old road, its headlights slicing through the mist that had settled like a suffocating blanket over the valley. Daniel stepped out slowly, his boots sinking into the damp gravel. He looked up, and there it was. The house. It stood at the crest of the hill, black against the pale moon, its broken windows like hollowed eyes staring down at him. Each brick, each creaking plank seemed to whisper the same warning. Leave. But Daniel didn't leave. He couldn't. This was his childhood home. Years ago, when he was barely 9, he had run screaming from this place with bloodied knees and a memory so fractured that even now, in his 30s, he couldn't fully piece it together. His parents had vanished that night, without a body, without a clue. And the world, cruel and skeptical, whispered of abandonment. But Daniel knew better. Something had taken them. The door groaned as he pushed it open. The smell hit him instantly, mold, damp wood, and something faintly metallic like rust or old blood. His breath caught in his throat, but he stepped in, flashlight trembling in his hand. The foyer was just as he remembered. The crooked chandelier, the staircase leaning slightly to the left, the peeling wallpaper patterned with faded flowers. Time hadn't touched it. It was as if the house had been waiting for him. And maybe it had. He climbed the staircase slowly, each creak echoing in the silence. His chest tightened. Half-formed memories pressed against his mind. His mother screaming his name, his father's arm dragging him, the sound of something heavy crawling on the walls. "Stop it," Daniel muttered under his breath. "It's not real." But then, at the top of the stairs, his flashlight flickered and dimmed. For a fraction of a second, in the sputtering glow, he saw it. A figure. Tall. Too tall. Its body thin, stretched like shadows pulled by invisible hands. And its face, or what should have been a face, was a blur, shifting like smoke. The beam steadied, and the hallway was empty. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to turn back, to run into the cold mist outside, but his feet dragged him forward. Each door he passed seemed to breathe, as if the rooms inside were alive. He stopped at the last one, his old bedroom. The door was shut tight, but he remembered he had left it open that night. The handle was icy against his palm. He turned it, and the hinges screamed as the door swung open. Inside, the air was heavy, suffocating. His old bed was there, small, rusted, the sheets torn and blackened with age. Toys lay scattered on the floor, exactly as he had left them decades ago. And on the wall, written in something dark and dried, were words that hadn't been there before. "Welcome back, Daniel." His flashlight slipped from his hand, crashing onto the floor. The beam rolled across the room, and in its sweep, Daniel saw them, two shapes crouched in the far corner. They looked human, but wrong. Their limbs bent at impossible angles, their faces pressed into the wall as if ashamed. A soft whimper escaped Daniel's throat, and then both shapes turned their heads. Their faces were his parents. Pale, distorted, mouths stretched open wider than any scream could go. Their eyes were hollow pits, dripping black tears that slid down their cheeks and vanished into the floorboards. "Daniel." The voices overlapped, twisted, broken. "Why did you leave us?" He staggered back, shaking his head violently. No, you're not real." But they crawled toward him, their bodies jerking like puppets on tangled strings. The sound of their bones grinding against each other filled the room. The smell of decay grew stronger, so thick he gagged. He tried to run, but the door slammed shut behind him with a thunderous crash. The shadows in the room deepened, crawling up the walls, circling him like predators. His parents' broken forms stopped just inches from him, tilting their heads in unison. And then the thing that wasn't his mother whispered, "He's still here." A cold, invisible hand wrapped around Daniel's chest, squeezing until he could barely breathe. The walls seemed to pulse, the very air vibrating with some hidden heartbeat. The floor cracked beneath his feet, splitting open to reveal blackness, bottomless, endless. Something moved within that void. Something vast. Something ancient. Daniel screamed as skeletal hands shot up from the crack, clawing at his ankles, trying to drag him down. His flashlight fizzled out completely, plunging him into choking darkness. And in that darkness, a voice deeper than earth itself spoke. You came back. At last. The sound ripped through Daniel's skull, filling his mind with fragments of memory. His father's desperate cry, his mother's trembling hands shoving him out the door, the shape on the wall unfolding itself with infinite hunger. He fell to his knees, tears burning down his face. "What do you want from me?" He choked. The shadows thickened, forming a towering silhouette that bent down close to him. It had no face, yet Daniel felt its eyes drilling into him. "Your blood remembers," it whispered. "Your body carries the key. You cannot run from what you are." Daniel's hands trembled violently. His heart beat so hard he thought it might burst. He pressed his palms to his ears, but the voice filled him from the inside, as if it had been living in him all along. The floor cracked wider. His parents' twisted bodies crawled closer, their hands brushing against him with icy tenderness. "Stay with us, Daniel. Stay forever." Something snapped in him then. With a scream of raw terror, he grabbed the fallen flashlight and swung it blindly. The beam cut through the dark, striking his parents' faces. Yet instead of light, the beam seemed to burn them. Their skin bubbled, peeling back in streams as they shrieked. Daniel stumbled forward, shoving past them, slamming his shoulder into the door until it burst open. He bolted into the hallway, breath ragged, chest on fire. Behind him, the shadows surged, screaming his name in 1,000 voices. He didn't stop. He barreled down the stairs, through the foyer, and into the mist outside. The cold night wrapped around him like claws, but it was better than what waited inside. The house loomed behind him, silent again, as if mocking his escape. His body shook violently, his vision blurred. He stumbled into the gravel, fell to his knees, and sobbed until his throat felt raw. But then, he heard it, a faint creak, wood shifting, the front door slowly opening, and in the darkness of the doorway, something stepped out. The night was silent, so silent that even Daniel's ragged breaths felt like screams. He wiped his tears with trembling hands, forcing himself to look back at the house. The front door, swollen with rot, had opened just wide enough to let something slip through. And it did. A figure stepped onto the porch. It was tall, impossibly tall, its head nearly brushing the sagging roof. Its body was thin, stretched beyond human limits, and its arms dangled too long, fingertips almost grazing the ground. It did not walk, it flowed. The mist thickened around it, twisting as though alive. The shape had no face, yet Daniel felt its stare cut through him like knives. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but his body refused to move. He was rooted, frozen, as though the earth itself had claimed him. "Daniel." The voice was not spoken aloud. It echoed inside his skull, a vibration that made his teeth ache. "You left the door open." Daniel stumbled backward, shaking his head violently. "No, you're not real. You're not real." But the shadow only tilted its head, a grotesque imitation of curiosity. Then it stepped off the porch. The ground shuddered with every movement. The mist swallowed its lower half, yet it seemed taller still, growing with each breath Daniel took. Daniel's legs finally obeyed him. He bolted, his boots slamming against the gravel as he tore down the road. The fog closed in around him, stealing his sight, his direction. He didn't care. He just had to get away. Behind him, the sound came. Not footsteps, a dragging, as if countless hands were crawling across the ground, pulling the shadow closer and closer. Daniel's lungs burned, each breath sharp and shallow. He crashed through the mist, his flashlight beam jittering wildly, until he saw it, an old shed at the edge of the woods. A memory struck him, his father once storing tools there, hammering late into the night. He didn't think, he just ran. The shed door was half rotten, but he forced it open and slammed it shut behind him. He pressed his back to it, chest heaving, listening. Silence. Then, knocking. A slow, deliberate tap against the wood. Once. Twice. 3 times. Daniel pressed his fist to his mouth, holding in the sob that threatened to burst. His body shook with terror. The air inside the shed was damp and foul, crawling with the stench of mold. Rusted tools hung from the walls, their edges sharp and glinting faintly in the moonlight that slipped through the cracks. The knocking stopped. Daniel dared to breathe. And then, a whisper right beside his ear. "Why did you come back, Daniel?" He screamed and spun, flashlight beams slicing through the shadows. Nothing. Just rusted saws, broken planks, a coiled rope sagging from a nail. His heart thundered, his skin crawled. He stumbled backward and his foot knocked something over. A box spilled open, scattering yellowed papers across the dirt floor. Daniel dropped to his knees. The papers, they were drawings. His drawings. From when he was a child, crude sketches of the house, his parents, the woods, and one more, a towering figure with no face, arms too long, surrounded by scribbles of black. And at the bottom, in a child's shaky handwriting, he lives in the walls. Daniel's blood ran cold. His hands shook violently as he flipped through more. Every page showed the same figure, sometimes standing in his room, sometimes crouching in the corner, sometimes reaching for his parents. And one drawing, the last one, showed himself. A little boy holding the shadow's hand, smiling. The shed door creaked. Slowly, painfully. Daniel snapped his head up. The door was opening by itself, the rotting wood moaning under its own weight. Cold air rushed in, carrying the stink of earth and ash, and in the doorway, it stood. The shadow filled the frame, its body hunched to fit, its faceless head bent sideways, studying him. Its long fingers scraped the wood, leaving deep grooves. Daniel scrambled back, papers scattering around him. He grabbed the nearest thing, a rusted hammer, and held it up with shaking hands. "Stay away from me," he screamed, his voice cracking. The shadow did not stop. It entered, folding its body unnaturally to fit through the door. The shed seemed too small to contain it, yet it filled every corner. The tools rattled on their hooks. The floorboards groaned. "Your parents gave themselves," the voice said, crawling through his mind. "But you were spared. Do you know why?" Daniel's heart pounded in his throat. He shook his head violently. "I don't care. I don't want to know." The shadow leaned closer, faceless head inches from his own. "Because you are mine, always were." Daniel swung the hammer, screaming with everything left in him. It connected with a sickening crack, but instead of resistance, the hammer passed through, sinking into darkness. The momentum threw him off balance, and he crashed to the floor. The shadow did not flinch. It only laughed. Not aloud, but inside him. Deep, resonant, endless. The shed collapsed around them, wood splintering, roof caving in. Daniel shielded his head as beams crashed down. Dust choked the air. For a moment, silence fell. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer in the shed. He was in the house. The foyer stretched before him, but wrong. The walls bled black, dripping like tar. The chandelier swung violently, though no wind blew. The staircase twisted upward into darkness that seemed infinite, and the voice whispered, "Home." Daniel staggered back, clutching his chest. "No, this isn't real. This isn't real." But then he saw them, his parents standing at the top of the stairs. Their faces were whole again, smiling warmly. His mother reached out her hand. "Come back to us, Daniel," she said softly. "It's over now. We're waiting." For a moment, just a moment, hope flared in him. His throat tightened. Tears burned his eyes. "Mom?" But then he saw it. Behind their smiles, their eyes were black. Their shadows moved before they did. Daniel shook his head violently, sobbing. "No, you're not them. You're not." The shadows around him thickened, rising, clawing, wrapping around his arms, his legs. He screamed, thrashing, but they held him tight. His parents descended the stairs slowly, every step echoing like a drumbeat. Their voices overlapped again, inhuman and broken. "Stay. Stay with us. Forever." The faceless shadow loomed above them all, growing until it filled the ceiling, the walls, the air itself. Daniel's body convulsed with terror. His vision blurred. His heart hammered so violently it hurt. And then he remembered. The flashlight. It was still in his hand, weak, flickering, but still alive. With the last of his strength, Daniel turned it on and shoved it upward, straight into the shadow's chest. The beam exploded, pure and blinding. The house screamed, the walls shook. His parents shrieked as their bodies melted into streams of black smoke. The shadow convulsed, its faceless head twisting violently, cracking the air like thunder. Daniel roared with everything inside him, pushing the light forward. The darkness tore apart, peeling back like flesh, revealing something vast, something endless, something that should never be seen. And then, silence. When he opened his eyes, he was lying in the gravel road. The house loomed ahead, silent, empty. The mist was thinning. The night was still. The flashlight lay beside him, its bulb shattered. Daniel staggered to his feet. His body was trembling, broken, exhausted. He stared at the house for a long time, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Never again," he whispered. "Never." He turned and walked into the night. But behind him, in the upper window of the house, a shadow moved, and though no one was there to hear it, the voice whispered still, "You'll be back."